Hello, everyone. Hello, guys. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Microsoft 365 Community Mentorship Program. So you're welcome once again. As usual, this is the Microsoft 365 Community in Nigeria. And here we take you through everything you would want to know concerning Microsoft 365, the Office 365, enterprise mobility and security, and as well as a whole host of other applications or use cases for Microsoft 365. I will be proceeding with my slide. I welcome us all once again to this 4-month intensive mentorship program that is aimed at helping beginners and other professionals to journey into tech to build their digital skills around Microsoft 365 and everything else around it. So today, as usual, we started this session still. This is the third weekend on this session. And as usual, like I've always mentioned, we will be taking us through the Microsoft 365 Copilot and Copilot Studio, Microsoft Entra ID, and Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Intune, Microsoft Defender XDR, and Microsoft Purview. Yes, we'll be taking us through all of that. And since in the past 3 weekends, we have been journeying from intro to cloud computing down into Microsoft Entra ID. Yesterday was one of such sessions that was taken by Emmanuel Oyimafu, talking about Microsoft Entra ID and taking us through that journey. And I want to appreciate everyone for showing up as well. Before we move on, we will be giving our appreciations to the organizers of this wonderful program who have given us this platform and this opportunity to come and learn and grow our skills in the Microsoft 365 space. First, I will be giving our thanks to Madam Olajumoke Toriola. And before, we have actually introduced all of our organizers, and I'll just be taking us through them briefly. I also want to thank one of our organizers like Emmanuel Itoje, who has also been a powerful front in the community as well. These are the people who have come together to give us this chance to who have innovated this wonderful opportunity, this wonderful platform for us all to meet and to learn one or two from them. So I want to give a wonderful thanks to them for sharing in their time, sharing their energy, sharing their resources, sharing their knowledge and experiences with us all into making this program a successful one. Yes. These are some of our organizers. And also, we will be introducing the speaker, but before that, I will introduce myself. My name is Aisha Toshileye. Yes. And I've moderated one of these sessions before. I am a Microsoft 365 administrator, Azure infrastructure engineer, everything Microsoft 365, and everything Microsoft Cloud. That's just me in a nutshell. And we would also be talking a bit about the speaker. I want to believe he's not a stranger to us all at this moment, because yesterday's class was a banger, and everyone would actually attest to that as well. So thank you, Oyimafu, for taking us through that wonderful, engaging, and really impacting session yesterday. Oyimafu will be taking the class today again. Yes, before we go into the session, will run us through a few housekeeping rules to enable us have a conducive environment for learning. So this session will be recorded and will be made available for future viewing on our YouTube platform. Please, and I know that your microphones are disabled, but in the event that your microphone is enabled, please ensure to keep it muted if you are not talking until you are called upon to talk. And if you have anything to say, you can just raise your hands or drop your questions or concerns in the chat area. Somebody will always be around to check it out and respond. You can also pen down your questions until the Q&A session. Follow us on Twitter at NGM365. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are always sharing the channel link where you are watching your recordings. Please try to follow us on YouTube. We have, if you were to look at the number of mentees we have around, we shouldn't have that much. We shouldn't have that little subscription, that little people subscribing to the channel. It means we all have not subscribed to our channel. Please try and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow our page on LinkedIn. This will enable us to be able to bring and share more opportunities for us. So I want us all to please follow our YouTube channel. This is like the least you can do. Follow YouTube channel, follow the page on LinkedIn. This is the list of what you can do for the community. So be a community person, like our page, share our content, and subscribe to our social channels. Thank you very much. I will be ushering in Emmanuel Oyimafu at this time. Oyimafu, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Yeah, good evening to our amazing leaders, the likes of Adekunle, Aisha, Joseph Afesu, and other leaders that are on the call. Yeah, so I want to thank the founder of this great community, Madam Olajumoke Toriola, for this great privilege and this chance given to me to be here. And I also want to thank the amazing organizers for coming together and putting this through. Yeah, so I dropped a link on the chat. I just want to have feedback for yesterday's section. So I can see that just 6 people have joined. So let's join before we go to the next page. So I can gather your feedback live on the call. So we have 8 joined. So once we have like 15 people joined, then I'll move to the next slide. Okay, let's keep joining. We have 109 on the call. Yeah, so 11 has joined. Okay, let's just move to 15. Okay, 13 now. Okay, 14, 1 person. Okay, thank you. So these are the questions I want to ask. How useful was yesterday's section for you? You can just vote. Was it very useful? Was it somewhat useful? Was it neutral? Was it not very useful? So you can just vote. Just 6 persons have votes that yesterday's section was very useful. Okay, 1 person somewhat useful. 3, okay. If it wasn't useful, you can just still give your feedback because feedback are actually good. So we can actually work on where our students really want us to work on. So we have 13 very useful, that the section was useful yesterday, and we have 3 somewhat useful, 1 neutral. Okay, so I'm going to work on it. So 4 somewhat useful. Okay, let me move to the next question. Yeah. So the next is, what is one key takeaway you gained from yesterday's section? So can you just pen down one key takeaway you gained from yesterday's section? Let's just see if we are really learning, and let's get our participations. So out of 33 people that are here, so nobody have responded. You can just write one key takeaway if you learned something yesterday. Just pen down one key takeaway that you learned. Okay, learned how to manage Entra ID, good. Better understanding of user settings and group settings, good. User management and identity types, perfect. Yeah, this is nice. Identity governance, okay. So you can keep it coming. I learned a lot about Entra ID, cool. Configuration and settings of users, perfect. Learned how to manage users, good. Security policies, good. Azure Entra ID, basic tasks, user management, good. Expanded my knowledge, perfect. I still need to check the sections I was off yesterday, perfect. The recording has been uploaded to the YouTube channel. You can just subscribe to our YouTube channel, just like Aisha is saying that we should subscribe. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can have access to all the videos. Learned about user configuration. How is this related to Microsoft Purview? Okay, so this is cool. You are asking a question here. How is this related to Microsoft Purview? Okay. In the course of the training, we are going to see some relationship between Microsoft Entra ID and Microsoft Purview. Managing and tasking policy rightly. Cool. I understand settings are org-wide and policy are particular. Okay. I learned about user group and device system. Okay, at least we have gotten 23 out of 39 people responded. User and guest management. Okay. The explanation was detailed and presented in a very relatable way. Okay. User and guest. Okay, this is fine. Let's go to the next question. So let's just see. So what could I improve on in today and future sections? Can you just tell me what you think, not only me, other mentors we could improve on? You can just give your feedback so that we can just grab those feedback. You can just type them. Talk is slow, so we can follow. Okay, we need hands-on demo lab. Okay, so Aisha is currently going to send your credential for those of us that have filled the form so that we can actually get the tenant. Take it slow so we can follow. Okay, no problems. I'll try my best to take it slow. So far for me, it's perfect, just hands-on. They should copy your, okay, proper time management. Okay, I'll try to have proper time management. We don't understand some of the abbreviation, so say the meaning when you use them. Okay, no problem. I'll try to say the meaning of the abbreviations when I use them. Avoid complex questions. They get newbies like me confused. Okay, no problem. I'll try my best to avoid complex questions so that our mentees will not be confused that, okay, the training is so tough. Okay, you can repeat sometimes. Okay, perfect. I will try not to be fast. I think the key thing that I've learned from all this feedback is I'm too fast, and I'm going to try to actually reduce my speed. Hands-on demo. All questions should be welcome. A mentor overruled a question last week and not so nice. Okay, we have gotten that feedback. We are going to work on it. Everything is going smoothly, but please don't explain like we know what you are explaining. I'm a beginner. Okay, perfect. I'll try my best to bring everything down to everybody's term and everybody's understanding. Slow in teaching. Okay, no problem. I'll try to be slow. Just need more hands-on experience to solidify the learning of the day. Okay, okay. Okay, so this is okay. Nice. It feels rushed and fast sometimes. Most of us are absolute beginners with M365 technologies. Okay, no problem. Some terms are still confusing. Please say it in full and explain it. Okay, this is good. 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 I appreciate the honest feedback. Like, I appreciate them. Okay. Yeah. So how engaged did you feel during yesterday's section? Was it engaging? Yeah. Not engaged. Okay. Not engaged. We have some not engaged. We have 8 very engaged, 1 somewhat engaged. So let's just say the metrics so that we can know the one that at least we can actually go with. So at least I will know if I'm to improve the engagement. I will know how to move it. Okay. Yeah, I really need to work on my engagement. Okay, no problem. I'll work on it because I can see that the section was not engaged by 5 people. And these people are very important to us. So I need to ensure that I work on I work more on making the section more engaging. Okay, think this is okay for the vote. So this is okay for the vote. Yeah. Okay, thank you. We appreciate your feedback. Your input is not just going to help us, but it's going to help me have better sections for the Nigerian M365 community. So I'll be sharing my other screen where I have my slide so that we can just proceed. And I'll try my best not to be so fast today. Okay. Where is my slide? Okay. Yeah. So once again, I want to welcome everyone to this mentorship program. My name is Oyimafu Emmanuel. As Aisha has introduced me, she has said everything about me. I'll be continuing my section on Microsoft Entra ID, and I'll be talking more on security and authentication best practice. And I'll be looking at how we can protect identities with advanced security measures. So Microsoft Entra ID is actually security, and it's good that we even have this knowledge from the fundamental level as we proceed in our journey. Our agenda for today is introduction to Entra ID security. I'll be talking about self-service password reset. I'll be showing us how we can configure self-service password reset and how we can even check those that self-service password reset applies to. And we'll be talking about MFA. I'll be explaining what MFA is, and I will also be explaining what conditional access policy is. And I will go further to explain the authentication methods and how we can manage authentication method. Then we'll also look at password protection strategies. And we'll now do a quick reference and security mindset. So this is our agenda for today. So at the end of this section, at least everyone here, by the special grace of God, will understand the security measures in Microsoft Entra ID, how to configure self-service password reset, MFA, conditional access policy. So for MFA means multi-factor authentication. Why SSPR is self-service password reset. Why CA means conditional access. We'll also talk about authentication methods, password protection strategies. Then we'll do that. Okay, let's go. Now, on the first part of the day, we'll be looking at introduction to Microsoft Entra ID security. Let's see what we have there. So first we have user account protection. So for user account protection, it focuses on safeguarding user account through robust password management and reset policies and reset protocols. So there are various ways that you can protect user accounts through password management. And part of those password management are password protection policies, whereby you can actually create policies that will actually limit your users from using some well-known porous passwords to actually log into your environment, which we are going to look at all that. And for multi-factor authentication, what it means is just like, let me use a diagram to explain multi-factor authentication so that it will be easy for us to understand. So let me add another page here. So let me say this is a user. So let's say this user now wants to sign into office.com. The user needs two things. He needs his username and password. So let me just type it here. Username. Let's say the username is Joseph. Then you also need his or her password to sign in. So the password could be anything. So if the user now try to sign in, maybe the user go to the browser, it just goes to, let's say, the user go to office.com. Let me just bring office.com here. So it could be any website. It could be Gmail. It could be Exchange. It could be Outlook. It could be ChatGPT. It could be any website. Yeah. So, but this case we are using office.com. Let's say Joseph wants to sign into office.com and Joseph gets into the login page. Two things will be asked. Joseph will be asked to provide his username, which may not even really be Joseph like this. It could be Joseph, let's say let me say the domain.com. Let me say Joseph at Nigeria M365 Community.com. So that is his username. Then he will provide his password. So what this is single factor authentication. What single factor authentication is like a user providing just one factor to log in, single factor. So the single factor here now is just the password. So the password is the single factor. So this is single factor authentication. Why single factor authentication is very risky is because, God forbid, maybe if there are no password protection measures in your organization and users are using some easy to guess passwords, if those hackers try numerous passwords and they happen to get access to they happen to get the right password that the user is using, what that means is that they have actually compromised the account and they can actually access company's informations that particular user has access to, and the user can access. They have gotten in, but maybe you want to now take the security further. You want to use, let's say, multi-factor authentication. So if you want to implement multi-factor authentication, it's like you are adding an extra layer of verification. The first verification here now to prove that Joseph is who he is if he can provide his password. And if the password is correct, then it will go. He will be able to access the service he wants to access, be it Exchange Online, Office, or Entra ID. So the second layer of authentication now could be Microsoft Authenticator app. Maybe you need to set up Authenticator app. That could be your second layer of authentication. And it could also be maybe an SMS could be sent to your phone. So key takeaway for what multi-factor authentication is like it gives you multiple layers of security to actually verify who you claim to be. So if I come down, I can add, let's say, Microsoft Authenticator. Or maybe if the person is not using Microsoft Authenticator, you can just put, let's say, SMS or phone call. So what this means is that you are trying to verify that user, but you are not using a single factor. You are not using only password. You are using extra layer of verification to enhance security. Because if you use only password now if you use only password as the protection layer, if for instance the password of that user is guessed, maybe the person happened to guess the password and the person even log in, what it means is that the person have access to the informations and the services that Joseph have access to, which is not best practice. That is why multi-factor authentication is good, because multi-factor authentication gives you a way of using multiple factors, multiple protection layers to actually prove who you claim to be. So that's just what multi-factor authentication is. If you are using only password, That means you are using single factor. One advantage of multi-factor authentication is this. Maybe for instance, a dear one that is close to me that we stay in the same house. It's possible that the person will know my password because we have been close. So the person can easily guess, okay, this is the kind of password that this guy can use as my friend. And maybe one day the person now try to maybe access maybe my mail, because sometimes some organizations send pay slip after every month. They send your pay slip. The person could be your wife. Maybe he wants to know your salary. She wants to know your salary. She wants to know how much they are paying you. And the only way the person can know is to access your Outlook so that they can go and see your pay slip from your Outlook. If she knows your password and she log in, it will ask her for phone number. It will say, okay, a code has been sent to your phone. Provide the code. At that point in time, she will be like, now wow. The only way she will be able to have access is if she's with your phone. If she's with your phone, then she will now check and see the code and type it in. That's multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication is just like adding a secondary layer to your password in order to sign in to access services. So the next is conditional access control. So you can use conditional access policy to control resources access based on users and device. So for multi-factor authentication, it's basically for users. Because if you want to do multi-factor authentication now, in Entra ID, there's what we call per user MFA. With per user MFA, you can configure multi-factor authentication for users that you can just enable them for multi-factor authentication. But with conditional access policy, you can control resources access based on users and device context, which I'm going to really dwell on this conditional access policy. But this first slide, we are just talking about the security layers and all. So this is just the overview of what I'm going to cover today, but I'm just taking my time to explain this. And we're also going to talk about authentication methods, which are various authentication and techniques and password protection strategies for enhanced security. So this is the overview of everything I'm going to talk about today. So let me go. So the next is key security topic and learning outcome. So these are the topics I want to cover today. I'm covering password reset, which is self-service password reset. SSPR stands for self-service password reset. So this is what you will learn. Self-service password reset allow users to reset their own password safely without calling IT. That is why it is called self-service password reset, meaning users can reset their password by themselves without the interventions of IT. But we are going to see how we can configure self-service password reset in a secured way that won't cause any issue or problem. Then we're also going to look at multi-factor authentication, which is just like when you are adding a second layer of verification beyond just password. If you are using only password to sign in, it means you are using single factor. And we can even take note of this. If you have your Gmail account and you are not using multi-factor authentication for your Gmail, please go and configure it. Because God forbid, if your password gets compromised and maybe someone have access to your password, the person can just go there and change your password and you won't have access to your Gmail again. But if you are using multi-factor authentication or another level of authentication to access your Gmail, even if the person knows your password, it will ask the person, okay, if you are the owner of this device, go to that device, open YouTube and type and click yes if you are the one that want to actually access that account. So those are the things that we need to know about multi-factor authentication. It is actually adding a second layer of verification beyond just password. If you are using only password, it is single factor authentication. So for conditional access policy, so this sets rules that control when and how users can access resources. Okay, when when the device is not compliant, deny access, things like that. When the user is trying to sign in from an unauthorized location, block. So those are the things we're going to look at in conditional access policies. Then we'll look at authentication methods and how we can configure authentication method and which authentication option users can use. We are going to actually check all this. And we are going to see password protection, how we can block weak and compromised password from being used in our org. So we'll see how we can block all this, because if you allow some people, they can use the name of their husband, the name of their father's name safe as password, which is no good. Which somebody can use psychology and guess, okay, what is this person's father's name? If your father's name is, let's say, Itoje, they can guess, okay, Itoje 145, Itoje 256. They can even use a random checker to generate random numbers that could actually guess that particular password. Unfortunately, they may get it. But if you avoid using any of your names, anything pertaining to you, at least that will make it hard for hackers to actually penetrate. Or better still, even using the name of your organization. If you are working in tech knowledge now and you want to set your password is tech knowledge 145 or tech knowledge 1010 $. Tech knowledge is there. At least you are not even supposed to use the name of your organization for password, because normally if somebody come in, that will be the first thing that the person will do. Let me even check with the name of the organization to see if actually this will. So those are the stuff. So now let's start with what we're actually going to talk about today, which is self-service password reset. And look at it. So now we're going to look at the benefit and purpose of self-service password reset, just like we can see on the screen here, reset. So if you want to reset, you can just type in your new password and you confirm your new password and you click on reset. You can reset your password on your own. It is a self-service task. You can do it by yourself. You don't need IT. So what are the benefits of self-service password reset? Is provide user empowerment. So self-service password reset allows users to reset their own forgotten password without contacting IT or help desk. So what it does is that it reduces IT workload and help users get back to work faster. Okay, let's use this scenario. Let's say I'm working in MTN group, and I'm a sysadmin in MTN group. You know, MTN have a lot of staffs, like their staffs are a lot. And maybe for instance, in let's say 3 minutes, I received a task to reset password for like 20 people at the same time. I need to go to the portal. What was your name? Reset. What was your name? Reset. And maybe my boss has given me a lot of tasks to do in that day. It's increasing my workload. Instead of me to focus on the major things I'm supposed to do, I'm now resetting password. But with self-service password reset, users can reset their password by themselves, reducing workload for IT. So IT help desks will not be stressing themselves again to be resetting password for users. And another thing again, SSPR help users do is quick access to restoration. It helps users regain access to their accounts faster, minimizing downtime and improving workflow continuity. Because maybe somebody is trying to sign in now to perform a task and he forgot his password, because maybe he wants to sign into a new browser. He forgot his password. At that time, if maybe the person contacts me, and maybe at that time, maybe I was working on a task and I don't want to leave that task, I'm delaying the person. I'm causing downtime for that person because that person is unable to work at that time. So with self-service password reset, all these things will be beneficial to the company and both the users. You are empowering the users to be able to reset forgotten password independently, and it improves users' convenience and productivity. So these are the benefits of SSPR. Now that we know the benefits, let's see how we can configure SSPR. So here now, these are the basic settings. These are one of the basic settings for SSPR. So if you are setting up SSPR, you have three options to set up SSPR. You could set it to none. So what none means is that self-service password reset is completely disabled. Users must call IT to reset their password. In your organization, if this is set to none, what it means is that IT are the ones that are managing users, resetting all their passwords for them. If you're working in a company like MTN or Coca-Cola that have a lot of staffs, it becomes an headache. But if you're working for a small company like maybe 50 or 70 people. It may not really be so stressful. Then you can also apply it to selected users. If you're enabling it, you can enable it to selected users, whereby you can select a specific group that can use SSPR. Most times in IT, it is good if you are configuring a policy, you target pilot users, you target test users, not the entire users. Because if you target the entire users, sometimes there could be an issue. And if there's an issue, it means everybody will be affected, which most times it will not be good for the IT administrator because the pressure will be much. Imagine pressure coming from everybody that, okay, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. That is why it's good. If you are pushing anything, you just target selected users. By the time you see that the policy is working fine, then you now push it to the entire organization. So you can apply self-service password reset to all users, which means every users in the tenant can reset their own password. So when we go to the demonstration, we are going to see all these things in place. But if you are applying self-service password resets, you can set the scope to none. You can set the scope to selected users, whereby you can select a group that you want to apply self-service password reset to, and you can apply it to all, which means all users in the tenant. So let's look at the authentication method and best practice for SSPR. So most times, if users want to reset their password, it's not that once they just click on forgotten password, it will just ask them, put your new password, then confirm, then you get in. That is not how SSPR work, because somebody else that is not that user can as well do the same thing. It's very easy. Maybe for instance, because my domain, my organization now where I work, sometimes I might maybe send let's say I may send mail to some customers, and maybe some of their staffs may now see my email address. They may just put it on office.com and try to click on forgotten password and try to reset my password for me, even if I don't know. But with authentication method configured with self-service password reset, if somebody wants to reset their password, there will be some verification to confirm that that person is who he say he is, or is the right person that is trying to reset the password. Let me give this scenario. Maybe for instance, my Gmail account now, intentionally, I forgot the password. If I click on forgotten password, Gmail will ask me that, okay, do you know this phone number? If I say yes, I know this phone number, they will say a code has been sent to that phone number. The reason why Gmail, they are doing that is because they want to know if it is the right person that have the account that want to actually reset the password. Sometimes, even after you enter the code from the phone, they will also tell you there's another email. Access this email and get this code. Why are they doing all those things? It's because they want to actually confirm that the person that is trying to reset that password is the right person. So the same thing works with SSPR. If you want to even start using SSPR, you need to register for self-service password resets, which we are going to see how we can register for self-service password resets. You must first of all add some authentication methods, like password is a norm. You must set up password. You can use mobile app notification, which is just like a push notification in Microsoft Authentication app. So some of us that use Microsoft Authentication app is more or less like an app that you can use to authenticate to your Microsoft, to your environment. Like if you have provided your password, the authenticator app can open, type this number. So once you type the number, you get in. So you can do mobile app code. So this mobile app code now is the code that you can get from your authenticator app. So once you go to your authenticator app and you click on the email that you want to access, once you click on it, you see 6-digit codes. So those 6-digit code, you can also use it as an authentication method for SSPR, and you can use email. So this email now, a reset link is sent to alternative email address. So this is one of the common ones that we use, that if the person wants to reset the password, they can send a reset link to the email address of the person. Then the next is mobile phone SMS. So this one, a code is sent to the users on their registered phone. That's if the user added their registered phone, a code will be sent to the person, okay, to confirm that it is actually the person that want to reset their password. And you can also configure security questions like, okay, that can ask the user, maybe like, what is your best food? What is your pet's name? Questions like that, which we are going to see how to set up all this in our lab. Yeah. So let's see. So this is SSPR registration and administration. So for users to use SSPR, they must first of all register. So user registration is a requirement for self-service password resets. They must register to enable SSPR, because if they don't register, there's no way they can reset their password. Why that registration is important? Because in that registration, that is where you configure the authentication methods that is specified by your admin. If your admin pick 2 authentication method as a must, then you must actually have 2. If not, you won't be able to reset your password. So we are going to look at how we can do that. So administrator password reset policy. So admin accounts always have SSPR enabled and must use 2 authentication method for password resets. So this is some of the things that we need to know. If you're a global admin, by default, your account always have SSPR enabled. It's enabled, but for users that are not admin, you have to enable SSPR for that user, and the user must register for self-service password reset to be able to use self-service password reset functionality. So we have access control by groups. So for you to restrict membership of people that can use SSPR, you can use groups, like you can apply to selected users or groups to control the security. So multi-factor recommendation. So multi-factor authentication method are recommended to enhance security beyond weak security questions. So sometimes these security questions could be compromised. Maybe the person may put, what is your best color? What is your best food? And maybe the person may know my best color or my best food. Maybe the person is my best friend. Maybe the person can even ask me before that time, Oyimafu, what is your best food? And I tell him, my best food is this. What is your best color? My best color is this. In that case, the person is trying to school me because they know what they want to do. So that is why sometimes all these things are very important. So we need to ensure that we use multi-factor authentication in setting up SSPR aside security questions. So let's go to the lab so that we'll see how to set up SSPR. So let me just do that quickly. Let me do that. And this is it. Yeah. So let me just bring it here. Okay. So this is Entra ID Admin Center. So at least yesterday, I showed us how we can log into Microsoft Entra ID Admin Center. So for the sake of people that are just joining today, so let me just do a run through of how you can log into Entra ID Admin Center. And for those that are following us, so that at least everybody can go at a very slow pace so everybody will understand. So let me do it like this. If you want to sign into Microsoft Entra ID Admin Center, you can add a new tab to your browser. Then you click on cmd.mx. cmd.mx. Then you hit enter. So once you hit enter on cmd.mx, you can see different admin centers like Entra, Intune, Sentinel, Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, and all. But today now we're talking about Microsoft Entra ID. So I'll just click on Microsoft Entra ID here. Then it takes me to Microsoft Entra ID page. So this same page that we saw just now. Okay. So now let's go to the game of the day, which is password reset. So to set up password reset, if you're on the Microsoft Entra ID page, there are several ways that you can access the password reset configuration settings. If you scroll down, you will see password resets on the navigation pane here. So password reset is here under account recovery and custom. So is here. So once you click on it, it takes you to the password reset configuration. So just like I was saying, if you want to set up self-service password reset, you need to use either none. So if you say none, that means it won't be applied to anybody in the organization. If you say selected, then you have to pick a group that you actually want self-service password reset to be applied to. Then if you say all, it means everybody, all the users in your organization. SSPR will be applied to them. SSPR is self-service password reset. Okay, still on the password reset, we have authentication methods. So once we click on authentication methods, this is where you can specify the methods that will be available to users when they want to reset their password. Here, I didn't check security questions. I'm only because security questions can easily be guessed. If I check security questions now, it will ask me to specify some questions. Like I can pull questions here, just like those questions that they ask you. What is the name of your mother's maiden name? What is the name of your father? What is your best color? What is your pet's name? Somebody that know you very well can be able to guess all that. So I'll just uncheck this and use these options that we have here, which is mobile app notification. So mobile app notification is when you install Microsoft Authenticator app or any Authenticator app in your phone. If you want to reset it, you will receive a prompt on the Authenticator app. So what you just need to do is to type the number that was given to you from the self-service password reset page to your Authenticator app, or you can enter the code from the Authenticator app to the settings, or you can use email or phone number. So this email is just like, maybe for instance, you have a secondary email that you use and you add it there. So Microsoft will send a code to that email that during the self-service password reset, you can just put that code so that you can reset your password by yourself. So we have office phones and security questions, but we are using just this. I'm only allowing them to use these four options. So now we have number of methods required to reset. You can use one. If you use one, what it means is that only one method will be required to reset, but I'm using two to make the verification more intense so that it shouldn't be just only one. Because what it means is that if I say one method, if maybe the user just provide a code from the email, the person will be able to reset their password. But if I say two, that means the user must actually either must use the authenticator app or their email. It must use two authentication methods must be used to reset their password. So I'll click on save here for the authentication method. Then the next I will do is to go to registration. So for registration now, we have options here. Require user to register when signing in. So it depends on how you want to do it. If you check this option, that means when the user is signing in, the user must actually register for self-service password reset once you configure them to use self-service password reset. So we can just check it to yes. Then for number of days before user asks to reconfirm their authentication, most times you can use 30 days so that every 30 days, users will be asked to reconfirm their authentication information. What this means is that every 30 days, Microsoft will ask the user, they will show them the authentication methods, the phone that is configured for the authentication methods, the phone number that is configured, the email address. Are you the owner of these devices? If the user said yes, then it will continue, just like to reconfirm the authentication information. So if I save it now, it will save. So there are other settings that you can also use, like if you want to integrate with your on-premise, maybe you have Active Directory. You can actually integrate self-service password reset with your on-premise Active Directory, but that's not part of the scope. But I'm just showing us in case maybe you're in an interview and they ask you, okay, can self-service password reset work when a company has maybe AD and they want users that their computers are joined to the AD to be able to reset their password? The answer is yes. You can actually configure it so long as Microsoft Entra Connect Sync is installed, then you can actually do that. So let's do the practical now of how to test self-service password resets. Okay, let's check it now. But before we do that, if I come to properties now, we are going to see that I only selected this group, which is this group, which is M365 test group, meaning that it's only the people in this M365 test group that SSPR will be applied to. So I want to show us one quick secret here. So if you want to know users that are eligible for self-service password resets, all you need to do is to come to authentication method here. So from authentication method, you click on user registration details. Once you click on user registration details, you will see people that are capable of SSPR. So if I scroll down now, you can see that most of my users are not capable. Most of them are not capable. The only person capable is Ochichi. And I will tell us the reason why Ochichi is capable for self-service password resets. So every other person is not capable. So you can check users that are capable for multi-factor authentication and the ones that are not capable. So what this capability means is that you need to actually scope the user to be able to use self-service password reset before they will be able to use it. So let me go and add another user now to that group for self-service password reset. I will come to groups. Then from groups here. So basically, if you are following along with me and you want to do it, all you need to do is to come to password reset. From password reset, if you don't have a group, go and create a group. Click on selected so that you can select the group that you want to apply self-service password reset to. You click on the group here. You make sure you add the group that you want to apply SSPR to here. Then after adding the group, we are using M365 test. So I will go to that group, M365 test. So these are where all my groups are. So I'll click on all groups. Then from all groups, I will just search for M365 test. So now I can see that I have M365 test here, and it's a security group. I'll click on it. So once I click on M365 test, I'll come to users, to members. So if you are following along with me, create a group. Once you create the group, add members to the group. So we have two members here. We have Blue Dive and we have Ochichi Migration. So I'm going to be adding more users here so that we are going to use those users to test self-service password reset capabilities, but we are going to use Ochichi to test first before we use other users. So here now, I'm going to add members. So who am I going to add now? Okay, let me add my bosses. I know that yes, they need to use self-service password reset. Let me add Alfred. Let me add Azim. So let me add Itoje, Emmanuel Itoje, so that at least he can reset his password by himself. So let me see if I have any other person again that should be able to reset password. Let me add James. Let me add Joseph Afeso so that he can reset his password. Who else? Okay, let me add Martins because this man can be disturbing sometimes. And let me add Mike. Then click on select. So this is how you onboard users. If you want to onboard users, that group that you selected in password reset, just go and add those users to that group. So once you add them, then you will see that those users will be onboarded to self-service password reset. So they are here now. So to bring us back, let me come to password reset. Where is password reset again? Password reset. Remember, we selected group. If we say all, means it will apply to all users in my environment. So now let's confirm if those users I selected are SSPR capable or they are not SSPR capable. So let me come to authentication methods. Then from authentication method, we are still going to touch this authentication method very well. But let me just come to user registration details so that we can see the registration of people that are capable. I can remember that I added Joseph Afesu and Emmanuel Itoje. So let me look for them and see if they are MFA capable. Okay. Probably they may need to go and actually register first before they will be able to, before they will show here to be capable. So this is how you can confirm. So if I come to user reset, registration and reset events, I'm going to see them here. Yesterday, Uchichi completed her registration. So she registered Authenticator and she registered her email here. So now I'm going to do a test. I believe Joseph can help me because Joseph is on the call. So I'm going to reset his password so that he can help me register for SSPR. And I can also share some credentials to some people so that it can be an interactive section. So that you can just you can sign in, then register for SSPR. So let's do it. Let's test with Ochichi now, since Ochichi has been configured to use SSPR. But once you have configured it and you want to confirm, you can actually check from here to know the people that are actually capable to use the SSPR that you just added. So this is what you can use to audit. So you can see people that are capable of using multi-factor authentication. Azim is capable. So all these ones that are not capable, what it means is that, let me not go too far. When we get there, I will explain all this so that we'll understand how to make somebody capable of multi-factor authentication. So now, let me test with Ochichi. Let me go to users. So let me just copy our email address. Ochichi migration. So now it's assumed that Ochichi, she has forgotten her password. So I want to help her. She wants to reset her password by herself. So what she will do is she will go to a browser as usual and reset her password by herself. So what she will do here is she will come to, let's say, office.com. So in office.com here, she will click on sign in. Yeah, you see, you can't get there. This application contains sensitive information. Your device or client does not meet precise online compliance policy. Since Chrome, you need to install the extension. Okay, let me sign out and sign in again. So should I use another browser? Okay, let me sign out and forget because I want to actually test SSPR. So let me put a password again, email address again, and do next. So Ochichi now, it's assumed that she has forgotten her password. So I'll just click on forgotten password here. So it will ask me for her email address again. Then I will have to fill this stuff, SVX4. Then I'll do next. So there we go. It's telling me that you will receive an email containing a verification code at your alternate email address. So if, for instance, now this is an hacker that wants to actually reset my password, if he doesn't have access to this email address, he won't be able to continue. I will now click on email. Once I click on email, they will ask me to provide the verification code. So I will check my phone now to get that verification code that was sent to me. So let me check. The code should come. So I've just received the code, and the code is, let me type it, 939684. So I'll do next. So once I do next, remember when we're setting it up, we said minimum of 2. So there must be at least 2 verifications. You must provide 2 verifications before you can proceed. Then the next option is enter a code from your Authenticator app. So I'll just go to my Authenticator app from here. and enter a code from here. So I will look for Ocheche. Cheche. Why are they asking me to enter a number when they have not given me a number? So let me just put in the code on my authenticator app. 260, then right. Okay. 014788. Next. So now it asks me to enter a new password. So I will just enter a new password. I will just type the password. So this is how users actually reset password themselves. So you click on finish. So once I click on finish, then your password has been reset. So click here to log in with your new password. I will just log in. So as simple as this, you can just reset your password and you log in by yourself. But before you do this, you need to register, which we are going to try to register with one user so that everybody will understand it. So I've been able to sign in. I've been able to sign in with the device. So probably because I'm using a private window or a policy that I've configured in my environment, that's what's preventing this. It's also part of security also. So let me close it. So let me register with another user. Let me just do registration with another user quickly before we go to the next part of the class. So where is this user? So let me test with Emmanuel Itoje. So let me come to users. Then I'll just, of course, before I use him, I need to register for MFA first. So let me go to Emmanuel Itoje. Then I'll reset his password so that I can log in and register for MFA. So let me see if there's any authentication methods here. So it doesn't have any authentication method, only, okay, let me go and reset his password so that I can log in and actually register for MFA. Reset. So I've reset his password. So I'll just copy this password. Let me copy it and save somewhere. So what I'll do is his email now. Let me get his email overview. Okay, let me also copy his email too. So I will go to another browser. Let me just do, something. Oh, let me do it from this side. Okay. So I want to try to, why I had to reset his password is because I need to register his account for SSPR first. So, or better still, let's do it. So let me try to sign into Itoje's account on a private browser. So let me look for one of the browsers that I can use to actually do that. Okay, think. Add profile. Stay. Okay. Itoje. So you can follow along with me. So let me just come here and go to office.com. Click on sign in. So from sign in here, I will just put in Itoje's password, Itoje's username here. Then I click on next. So for password now, I'll say I've forgotten my password. I'll click on forgotten password. Then I'll put its email address here. Then I'll put SJW6. So let's see the behavior. Let's see if, because we'll need to register his account. So he said, we need to register for self-service password reset. Okay, let me click on register for self-service password reset first before we even proceed to do. So like I made mention in the slide, for you to use SSPR, you must register first. You must register that account, use SSPR. So that is why we need to sign in first to his account, then register for SSPR, then we try resetting his password. So let's go again. Sign in. So let's just take note of that. So you must register for SSPR before you'll be able to use an account for SSPR. I think the password should be on my clipboard. Okay, let me reset the password again. Just click on reset. Reset. And I'll copy this temporary password. And I'll come back to my browser here. Then click on this to put the temporary password. Then put the current password. Confirm. Then sign in. Yeah. So I've been able to sign in. Now they are telling me, let's keep your account secured. We'll help you set up another way to verify it's you. So this is just like the registration also for SSPR, because remember, when we're configuring SSPR, we're like on the configuration process. Let me take us back there so that we'll see that settings again. So password reset. So on the registration, we're like require user to register when signing in, meaning that when the user is signing in, he must register. So that was why Ituji was prompted to register when he was signing in. So let me select C. So now they are telling me that I have to install Microsoft Authenticator app, which I have already done. So I'll do next. Then I'll set up the account. So set up your account. Let me do next. They're supposed to give me a barcode. So what I'll do is I'll scan this barcode. So if you are following along with me and you're actually doing this, all you just need to do is to open your Microsoft Authenticator app. You will see something like something in the bottom left. You just click on the barcode scanner there. Then you scan the barcode. Once you scan it and it goes successfully, then you click next here. So you just click next. So it will ask me to type this number. I'll just type this number there. So once I type the number, it proceeds to done. So remember, I have to add more methods. I have to add more methods to it. So I'll just select phone number. I'll select phone number. So let me just search for Nigeria. Nigeria. So let me put my phone number there. Okay, so let me do next to set up my phone number. So a code will be sent to my phone. So I will just be patient to receive it. So let me wait for it to come. Okay, the code has not come. Sometimes it might take time to come, but I've not seen the code. So let me just go back. Okay, I've seen it. It has come. 353520. Okay. So I'll just do next. So now I've added my phone number and I've also added Authenticator app. I click on done. Then now you can now verify it's you using this method. So this is my phone number and this is the Authenticator app. I click on done. So that is how to register for SSPR. So if you select these options to require user to register when signing in, then you'll get that experience. Then I close this. So now Itoje has signed in. Let's say, for instance, Itoje forgot his password. And because he forgot his password, he needs to work. He wants to reset it. So what I'll do is I'll come and sign out of Itoje's account, then try to reset his password. Let's see if it will be successful. Let me sign out. Let me sign out and try to sign in again. Sign in. So now this time I'll click on forgot password. Let's see if we'll get the same experience we got. VYKNS. So I'll click on next. Okay, so we need to add another authentication method before we'll be able to reset his password. So let's figure it out. Let's go to my sign-ins. Then I'll select Itoje. Since I know the password, I'll just put it. So for now, I'll put it, because to use SSPR, you need to confirm all the registration methods. It has to be set up before you'll be able to use it. So these are the things you will face in your lab. So once you face it, don't get overwhelmed. At least that's why we are facing the challenge together. So here now we can see that we only have password, phone number, and Microsoft Authenticator. But if we come back to our authentication method, we can see here that what we have here is email, mobile phone, mobile app, and all. So email is very important. If I uncheck this email now and I go back to reset the password, it will work. But I will leave it checked. Then I'll come back to his account and I will add an email address here. So I will just click on add under sign in methods. I'll click on add, then I'll select email. I'll put my Outlook, or let me put my Gmail. Okay. So a code will be sent to my Gmail, then I'll just enter it. So that is how to add your alternative email. So I'll just wait for the code to come in. Okay. It just came in now. 49492051. Then I'll do next. So I've added it now. I'll click on done. So what I'll do is I'll now go back and I'll sign out again, then try to reset his password. So let's see. Which account do you want to sign out? Emmanuel Itoje. So I've signed him out. So then what I'll do is I'll click here and say forget. Then I'll put his email address again. Let me see if I still have it here. Okay, it's not here. Let me copy his email. User. So I'll just copy his email. Copy. Then come back to that browser. Then put his email there. Then do next. Then click on forgot password. Then provide this captcha. KRXDYNG. So let's see if we are going to get headway this time. Okay, fine. We got headway. So email method is here. So we have all the method that is specified in the authentication method. If, for instance, I don't have access to this email, I can select phone number so that I'll put my phone number here. Then they will send me a code. If I want to use Authenticator, I'll do this one. So let me use Microsoft Authenticator. I will say send push, send notification. So I will have to type 70 on my phone. I will just type 70, then say yes. I don't want to stress myself using email. So this is done. So I have to select one, either email or text to my phone. Which one should I select? Let me do text to my phone. So this text to my phone now, they will now want to know if I'm the owner of this number. I will now put it 070 3871 4490. If I do next, if I put a different phone number, it won't work. So a verification code now will be sent to my phone. So once it's sent to my phone, I will just use it. So no one has come yet. Let me wait. Let me be patient. I've not received any code. It has not come. Okay, it just came. Let me just type it. 274166. Then do next. So now they will now ask me to enter a new password. I will now enter. Then I'll do finish. So once I do that, Itoji has gained access back to his account that I forgot the password. So I will just enter the password I just changed. Okay, so that's it. So that is how to register a user for SSPR and to test SSPR. So we have finished that part. So we'll be moving to the next part now. We're moving to the next part so that we can round up on time today, because time management is also good in terms of trainings. So the next is multi-factor authentication, MFA. Like I explained before, MFA is good because it provides second layer of authentication. We have three authentication factor. So one of this authentication factor, what we need to notice, it is based on knowledge, possession, and inherent traits to verify user identity. So based on knowledge now and possession. So the knowledge here is you have to know your password. Then the possession, you need to have a phone that you have registered for, let's say, authentication, so that you can use it to prove that you are who you claim to be. So that's just multi-factor authentication, which I've already explained all this in the first part, which MFA requires. MFA means multi-factor authentication. It requires at least two different factors, enhancing security beyond single factor method like password alone. So using password alone is not the best. It is not the best because if you're using only password, hackers can try to sign in if they know your email address. And once they're able to get in, they are in already. But if you're using MFA, even if they get your password, so long as they're not with your phones, they cannot get access to it. So those are the things. So risk of single factor authentication. Using only password is less secure and vulnerable to attack that MFA can prevent with additional factor. So with additional factor, you can prevent a lot of things like attacks to your users. So we'll now look at importance and impact of MFA. So without MFA, password stolen equals to account compromise. If MFA is registered, even if your wife knows your password, or your fiancé knows your password, or your family member knows your password, they won't be able to get access because even if the password is stolen, attacker is still blocked without second factor. So the second factor here is your phone number, your email, your authenticator app. That's second factor here for MFA. Why phishing attack work instantly? So if you have been phished and you don't have MFA, it's as in the attack is immediate. But if you're using MFA, phishing only gets the password, not the phone and key. So if you don't get the password, phishing is just like maybe for instance, somebody sends you an email and they embed a link and you click on it. You don't know that maybe you saw something like Microsoft, and you don't know that it's not Microsoft. They just use that to deceive the person to click. and you click on it, they ask you for username and password. They have gotten your password automatically. That one, you're the one that gave them your password by your hand, because you were thinking that you are signing in to a platform that is not that platform. They just tricked you and deceived you. So once you do that, they have gotten your password. But if MFA is configured, it's only the password that they get. They won't have access to your phone. Then they won't be able to sign in. So these are one of the shared responsibility I talked about in the first class. Microsoft have their responsibility. You as an administrator, you have your responsibility in configuring all this security practice in your organization to prevent phishing attack. So one weak password equals to full breach. Attackers must compromise two separate things. So once your password is weak, they have already gained access automatically. So those are the things we need to look at. So credential stalking attack succeed. So old leak password are useless without second factor. So if, for instance, maybe there's a database that your password was stored, maybe a platform that you sign into, they got hacked, and the hackers got access to passwords of the users that use it. With second factor authentication, you don't have issue. So that is why MFA is good. Multi-factor authentication is very good. So if you are not using it, ensure you set it up. So before we go to conditional access, okay, let me just continue. So you can deploy MFA with conditional access policy. So if you deploy MFA with conditional access policy, it provides enhanced control over application of MFA for users. What this means is that you can create conditional access policy that asks for multi-factor authentication when a user is trying to sign into Entra ID, or when a user is trying to sign into Exchange Admin Center or any admin center. So you can actually do all that. You can avoid legacy MFA settings. So if, for instance, the person is trying to sign into a browser or an authentication method using legacy, it will block it. So you can use conditional access policy to avoid legacy MFA. So you can use modern MFA deployments, which is you can use conditional access policy. So let me show you on the portal how to set up per user MFA. So once I go to Entra ID, so in Entra ID now, if you come down and you want to do per user MFA, if you are in Entra ID portal, all you need to do is to click on multi-factor authentication. Once you click on it, multi-factor authentication, then you select additional cloud-based multi-factor authentication settings to configure it. Once you click on it, it takes you to per user MFA settings. So this is where you can enable per user MFA for user, just MFA. But this one doesn't work like conditional access policy, because once you enable it, it's just anytime the user wants to sign in, it asks for MFA. But with conditional access policy, you can scope it to applications, which we are going to look at. So if we look at this page here now, we can see that most of my users here, MFA is disabled for them because it's not a production environment. It's a test environment. But if it was a production environment, if I'm not using per user MFA, I will use conditional access policy to enforce MFA. So for Itoje now, let me enforce MFA. Let me enable MFA for Itoje. I'll just enable MFA for him. Then I will also enable MFA for Joseph. So let me enable MFA for Joseph. Enable. Then who else should I enable MFA for? So this is how to enable MFA for, what do they call it again? Per user MFA. This is how to enable per user MFA. So you can enable it for everybody. You can enable it for, let me enable it for Martins. Okay, it's already enforced for Martins. So no need. So if I want to confirm now, all these guys now, like Emmanuel Itoje, that I've enabled MFA for. So I'm seeing here status disabled. Let me refresh. Probably it has not shown. Itoje. Okay, Itoje enforced. Let me check Joseph if it's enforced. So Joseph enabled. So if I want to enforce it, I can just click on enforce MFA. So enforcing multi-factor authentication, user will need to create app password to use non-browser applications such as Outlook for security. It's not compulsory, but let's just enforce it. So what we'll do now is I want to go and check if these guys that have enabled per user MFA before, which is Emmanuel and Joseph Afeso, if they are really capable of using MFA. And if you want to confirm, maybe for audit purpose, you can come to authentication methods here. In authentication method, you click on user registration details. So this is where you will know. So if I come down here now and I look for Emmanuel Itoje, we can see here that he is capable of using multi-factor authentication and is also capable of SSPR because I've registered SSPR. Formerly, it was showing not capable, but because we have done the registration of SSPR, it's now showing capable. In case maybe auditors come and say, want to know if users in your organization are using multi-factor authentication, you can just come here and show them, okay, these are all my users and they are MFA capable. So they'll know that, okay, all your users are MFA capable. They are using SSPR and all. So you can even put the authentication methods here. Somebody like Itoje now, Itoje is using Microsoft Authenticator and is also using email, is using phone number, is using almost everything. So you can also check the last time he updated, which was this time. So that's just for per user MFA. So if you check activities now, you can see some activities, users using multi-factor authentication and all. So in your spare time, you can just play along with this to actually gain visibility in all these things, to know all these things. So you can see in my own environment now, most of my users are using single factor. But this is not the production environment, it's a test environment. In a production environment, anybody is not supposed to be using single factor. Everybody is supposed to be using multi-factor authentication. So this can give you the graph of where you will see the settings, what people are using and all. So let's come back to our lab, our demonstration, so we can see. So the next we are going to talk about is let's see deploying MFA with conditional access. So if you are deploying MFA with conditional access, let me see if I've gotten to conditional access. If you are deploying MFA with conditional access, you get all this leverage. So you can apply it to applications and you can even apply it to block legacy authentication and also to enforce modern MFA deployment. So let me just go so that we'll see all this. So these are methods, these are MFA method and security levels. So we have highest, we have low, and we have medium. So we have Microsoft Authenticator, which is push notification. It is recommended for most users. So this one is okay. You can use it. But if you want to use maybe the highest form of MFA authentication method, so FIDO security key is actually highest because it helps in phishing resistance and you don't even need any password if you're using FIDO security key. Then Windows Hello for Business is also falls under the highest category security level because it uses biometrics and it is tied to specific device. So those of us that use our face to open our laptop and we use our fingerprints to open our laptop, we are using Windows Hello for Business. So we have certificate-based authentication. It's also highest, but this is used in enterprise and governance environment. So we have software auth token. This is medium, time-based, and code for authentication app. So SMS and email, they are low, can be intercepted, used only as fallback. All these can be intercepted because if, for instance, is your wife that want to access your Outlook, she's with your phone. She can just tell you, give me your phone. She go to the kitchen and get the code and do what she wants to do. But with all these methods like FIDO and Windows Hello for Business and Microsoft Authenticator app, it will be very difficult. So those are the things. Email, the same thing. She can just have access to your email and put the code. But if you are using all these methods, like in terms of the security level, high or medium, at least is okay. But all these low ones, it is not recommended. So it's best in your organization. Most of the users are using Microsoft Authenticator app rather than SMS or voice call. So let's see MFA for all users and compliance requirements. So MFA enforcement, CIS benchmark mandate MFA for all users with conditional access covering all users and cloud app. So CIS stands for Center for Information Security Benchmark. So you can configure MFA for emergency account exclusions. You can use FIDO security key, which offer cost-effective phishing resistance alternative to traditional MFA method. So with this FIDO authentication key, if you want to set it up, you will need a passcode. Once you connect it to your device, once you just put that passcode, you get access automatically. So that's the advantage of this FIDO authentication key, and it helps to prevent phishing resistance. So we'll just move to our next part because we have to round up fast so we can move to question and answer. So I just want to talk about conditional access policy with this image. So conditional access policy works with signals, like it works with signals like, okay, this is a device now. One of the signals are the browser. So this is the browser. So this device, you can do conditional access policy that works on browsers. You can do conditional access policy that even limits device types that the user is trying to sign in. Maybe if somebody is trying to sign into Windows 10, you don't want the person to have access, you can block it. If somebody is trying to sign into Windows, other lower versions of Windows operating system, you can block it. So we can see all these signals. So you can use all these signals now. Signals could be location. You can say, for instance, if somebody is trying to sign in from China, the account should be blocked because you know that you don't have any of your staff in China. So you can block them by geographical locations. So geographical locations can also be a signal. So what conditional access policy does is that it helps you to enforce MFA using signals. So part of those signals could be cloud apps or actions, user risk detections, device or device platform, IP location, and more. So if, for instance, now somebody is trying to sign in from UK, so you can just say, okay, if somebody is trying to sign in from UK, you can say require multi-factor authentication. So once the person actually provide, once the person actually like go to the authenticator app and actually confirm that he or she is the one, give access. So this one now gives you more control than the conditional access, than multi-factor authentication, than the per user MFA, because this one gives you more options to use signals. So assignments can assignment determine which signals to use. So you can set up any of these signals here, which could be cloud apps, sign in, device or device platforms, IP locations. This could be signals that you can use to make decisions. Example is impossible travel. Let's say, for instance, I'm in the office in the evening. Everybody saw me in the office. The next minute, they saw that I'm in UK. I'm trying to sign in from UK. That's not possible. Because me that they just saw how many hours ago. How come I'm in UK? Meaning that I'm not the one. So with that, you can actually use location signals to block access. You can either use it to block access, to restrict access, or even to allow access, depending, which we are going to look at. So access control determine how policy is enforced. If you say block access, that means you are blocking the person from accessing the environment. If the person doesn't meet criteria for the signals you select, then you can do section control, which you can enable which enables limited experience. So let's look at some components for multi-factor authentication. So for multi-factor authentication, some of the components are users. So these users now determines the scope to which you are applying the policy. You can apply policies to specific users. You can apply it to specific groups, and you can apply it to directory roles like global admin, exchange admin, and the likes. You can apply your policy to your conditional access policy to roles. And also you can target resources. Resources could be all cloud apps. You could say if users in your organization are trying to sign into any cloud apps, it should require MFA. You could say It's only when they are signing into Azure portal that they should use MFA. You can actually do that. So for conditions are signals. So those signals I was talking about, it falls under the condition. Okay, if this person is trying to access Azure portal and the person is signing in from this location, block access. If somebody is trying to sign in, into Azure portal and the person is there's likelihood that the account has been compromised, block access. If there's likelihood that the user account is under risk, block access. And you could also say, okay, for you to grant access, the device must be compliant, which we are going to look at for this device compliance when we get to Intune. We are going to cover all that to either block access. So you can also do sections. So conditional access gives you more flexibility to allow access to different resources. You can see, okay, if your admins want to access SharePoint, they should require MFA, which we are going to do all this in the lab. So we can see some policies that I have. So let's just go to the lab so that we can just see how conditional access policy is. So let me go to the lab. Okay, so here, still on Entra ID, all we'll just do is click on conditional access. Conditional access, because we are talking about conditional access policy now. Once we click on conditional access, we are going to see some settings here in the overview, like policy snapshots, users, applications, and all. So let me go to policies now. So we see the policies that I have in my environment. So these are conditional access policy. So this conditional access policy is to block legacy authentication. This one is to enforce approved location. This one is to enforce enrollment of certificates. This one is to enforce this one is for users. This one is MFA auth for all cloud apps. This one is Microsoft Nigeria Community CA. So these are conditional access policy. If I want to edit it now, let me click on this block legacy authentication conditional access policy. Let's see. So here now, this is the name of the policy. So if you are creating conditional access policy, the name is a must. You must specify a name for the conditional access policy. Then for users now, you can scoop the policy to apply to users. So if I select this place now, I can see now that this policy is applied to all users. You can apply it to selected users or groups, whereby you can select the users that you want to apply the policy to. You can just pick them. I can see I want to apply it to all these guys. All these guys here. I can see I want to apply it to them. So you can select specific users, or you can even select group, as the case may be. You can select any group that you want to apply the policy to. Most times it is good if you want to use conditional access policy, you target like pilot users, not all users, so that everybody don't get locked out at the same time. So you can also exclude. You can exclude. So one user is excluded here, which is me, because most times the person creating the policy, Microsoft always exclude the person, because a lot of admins have reported in the past, I created conditional access policy, I got locked out. So because of that, they will exclude you that is creating the policy, so that if everybody get locked out, you won't get locked out. So most times by default, the person creating the policy is always excluded from the policy. So this is how you scope a policy to apply to all users. Either you want to select some users or groups. And when I was explaining also, I specified that you can also apply policies to you can apply policies to agents. If you have some agents like Copilot agents in your environment, you can apply conditional access policy to them. But that's not our talk for today. So if you want to select users or group, if you want to apply policies to directory roles, if you select directory roles here, you can pick the role you want to apply policy to. If you want to apply it to global admins, you can just select maybe the administrator group. Maybe you want to apply it to Exchange admin or any of the admins. Let me look for global admin. Global admin. then you select it. So meaning that this policy is scoped to the global admin and exchange admin. So you can scope your policy to directory roles. You can scope your policy to users, and you can scope it to groups as the case may be. And let's not forget, you can also exclude from your policy. So now let's go to target resources. So this target resources now refers to the resources that you can target for MFA. So this particular policy targets all resources, which is all cloud apps, everything. So what this means is that all cloud apps are targeted. But if I want to select a particular resource, I can just click on, if you click on this drop down now, you can see different things, different resources that you can target. You can target user actions, and you can also target authentication context. But let's first of all talk about resources first before we go to the other ones. So here, if you click on selected resources, you can now select the specific resources that you want to target. So these resources are Microsoft's applications and applications that you have added in your environment. So this is Office 365. You can say anytime users, if I select only Office 365 now, what I'm trying to say is that anytime any user wants to sign into Office 365, depending on the access control I gives, that is what will happen. If I say require MFA, anytime users want to sign into Office 365, they must provide MFA before they sign in. So that's for resource. So if we now come to, so you can select all resources, but most times if you want to scope it, like the one I was trying to explain that, okay, maybe we want to apply the MFA for Azure Portal. So if you want to say, okay, for only Microsoft admin portals, you can select it here. So if we search for Azure now, let's see if we have Azure Portal here. So you can apply the policy to maybe when administrators want to sign into Azure Portal. So you can actually do that. So you can just select Azure Resource Graph. This Azure Resource Graph now is very important. You can just select it. You can select Azure Portal. So Azure Portal resource unsupported in conditional access policy. So now we can see here that Azure Portal is not even supported. So that is why most times it's good to try things on your lab. Because during exam night, it can come out and ask, is Azure Portal supported for conditional access policy? Resource unsupported in conditional access policy, Azure Portal. So let's take note of that. So let me just select these two as the resources I want to target. And also you can also target user actions like register security info, register or join devices, but we just want to focus on the apps, but you can target other things too, aside resources. So because your manager can give you a task, okay, we want you to create conditional access policy for register or join devices. So you can scope your conditional access policy to target register or join devices. So that is also obtainable. So in case you are given that task, you know that that's what you can do. So these are those signals we're talking about. You can scope it to network, like if the person is trying to sign in from maybe any location, you can exclude your trusted location. So if I say any location now, that means if the user is trying to sign in from any location, that means the person will be able to access. If I say all trusted network and locations, meaning that I will have to have already set up trusted locations. So, but I just want us to understand how to set conditional access policy. And I have good news for us. So once I show us, I will just give us that good news. So here now we have grant access. So this grant now, this is where you specify what will happen. So I can say if somebody is trying to, because this policy is block legacy authentication, that is why the grant is block. So if somebody is trying to sign into any applications that use legacy methods, block. So that's just what this application, this conditional access policy is all about. So I will just cancel. Then I will now show us how we can set up conditional access policy using templates. So if I come to overview here, I'm going to see create policy from template. So if you select create policy from template, you can see here, this is the good news I have for you. So Microsoft has already set up some templates for you that you can just follow to create policy. If you are creating policy for zero foundation, you can use any of these templates here. Require multi-factor authentication for Azure management. Require compliant device. So any of them that you want to use. If you want to create multi-factor authentication for zero trust, you click on zero trust. You will see different multi-factor authentication for zero trust. Require multi-factor authentication for admins. Securing security info registration. Block legacy authentication. So all these are templates that you can use to create your conditional access policy. If you want to create conditional access policy for remote work, Microsoft has already categorized them for you. So you don't even need to stress yourself. You can just come and look at Microsoft templates, then edit it to suit your organization. So let's say my boss just called me and say, Oyimafu, go and create multi-factor authentication to block legacy authentication, or multi-factor authentication to require guest access. So all I just need to do is just come to the template here and check for the one that fits what my manager wants me to create. So let me create this one for guests. So what I'll do is I'll select it. Once I select it, I'll click on view. So once I click on view, you see the policy here. So you're going to see the settings. This is a template for zero trust. For remote work, require multi-factor authentication for guests. Included users, all guests and external users. Excluded users, current user. You can see what I was saying. The current user is always excluded. Then cloud apps, all apps require MFA. So let's do it. So let me close this guy. So once you select it here, now what you need to know is that you must select the policy you want to create first. Once you select it, you can come here and click on review and review plus create. So once you click on review plus create, it will now give you an options to rename the policy or to set the policy mode. Most times, if you are creating conditional access policy with Microsoft template, it's better you put it on remote only, report only or off, so that it doesn't cause any issue. You need to test it first before you actually push it. So now what you now do is you click on create. So once you click on create, you come back to policies. So the policy we created was require multi-factor authentication for guests. Remember, I turned it off. The state is off. So I'll just come here and click on require multi-factor authentication for guests. Then from here, you can now edit it. You can see what Microsoft configured. If I click on users now, you will see who the policy targeted. The policy targets guests and users and external users. Remember, yesterday we talked about user types. We have guests, we have external users. So guests and external users are not internal users. And this conditional access policy is to require multi-factor authentication for guest access. So we can see here that the policy only applies to guests and external users. So if you collapse it, you will see other settings here. B2B collaboration guests, B2B direct connect users, local guest users, service providers. So this is Microsoft template. So if, for instance, now in your own organization, you want to allow local guests, you can uncheck this. If you want to allow service provider users, you can uncheck this. So that is why you put it off. Then after creating it, you can come and you use your own experience. Okay, let me uncheck this, let me remove this, depending. Then you come to target resources. So you can see here now that Microsoft targeted all resources, all cloud apps. If you want to exclude any apps, you can just click on exclude here. Then select the app that you want to exclude from it. And also, that's just the only thing. Then for grant now, they now say require MFA. That means what this policy means is that any guest in your organization that is trying to access any office apps, they must provide MFA to gain access. Since we have already confirmed it, I can put it in report only, then save. So most times it's good before you push your policy, you put it in report only first, so that you can test the impact of the policy before you push it to the entire organization. So to view impact of a policy, let me see policy that I've turned on that is working. Okay, so as it is here now, you can actually configure policy. You can can actually view the impact of a policy when it's on report only. So let me just open this one that we created for guest user. I think I set it to report only. So if you click on view policy impact at the top, you are going to see the impact of the policy. But I just configured this policy, so I won't see any data. But in your own environment, you can configure the policy, put it in report only, check it for like 2 weeks. When you see the impact before you now apply it to production. So people will not come after you that, what did you do? So that's just conditional access policy. So you can use Microsoft templates to create a lot of policies for your environment. So that's just for conditional access policy. So let's move fast so that we can just talk about the last, which is password protection. So let me not use slide for password protection. Let me just quickly talk about it. So if you want to configure password protection, you come to authentication methods. So from authentication methods here, you can go to password protection. In password protection, you can specify the password that you want to prevent your users from using. So in my own environment now, I have some passwords here that I don't want users to use, like Contoso, Precise Global. Precise Global now is the name of this tenant. I don't want them to use fail. I don't want them to use pass. So I have other policies here. See at Hawk, never forget, football, password 01. These are things that you can configure to protect your users from using cheap passwords like 1234, Amiable, different password. You create all this and you can set it to actually sync with your Active Directory. So all these are advanced. Then you can put it in enforced or audit. So if it's in audit, it should just be observing the environment and all. So let me just drop a question. So you can just help me answer this question on the chat. So you can drop it. This is a question that we should answer. And this is the last for the day. So can we just look at the questions and just answer them? So I'll be looking at the chat. Let me see the answer to this question. Okay. So you can go ahead and answer. Okay, so this is the question. Which of the following are signals that can be used by conditional access policy? Named location, user risks. Although I didn't cover user risks, but by the special grace of God, we're going to cover it in a more advanced series. So we'll cover it, but I don't want to take us use it something that is too hard for us to understand. Okay, thank you very much, and that's all for today. And I'll be handing over to Aisha now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oyimafu. Please let us appreciate him with a clapping emoji. Thank you. Oyimafu, we really appreciate your time, your efforts, sharing your knowledge. And I want to say that I really admire that energy. The energy is is a boom, and it's contagious. I can see how mentees are actually catching the bug as well. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for appreciating our speaker for tonight. Yes. Do we have any questions in the house? I want to see. I've just seen that a lot of us have been following, and I want to believe that we have really understand. We've been moving along with all that is being taught. Please, I will be taking questions first from Wisdom. Well, yes, we have to manage our time really well. So please, we won't be spending much time on question taking. And please, if you have been allowed, don't take too long so that we can give others the opportunity to ask their questions. So Wisdom, your mic is enabled. You can unmute your mic and speak.
Okay, good evening. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so my question, thank you very much to the speaker. I think this is one of my best classes I've had, aside from the first two classes we had. I really appreciate it. I was able to understand. So my question is concerning the MFA methods and security levels. He talked about the highest. So I'm not familiar with any of them, but I think he kind of explained the first two. But the last one among the highest, which is the certificate based authentication. I don't know if he can throw light on that, because I did not really get an understanding of it. But the FIDO and the Windows Hello, he kind of explained it a little bit, and the rest I'm kind of familiar with them. But the certificate-based authentication, I'm not really familiar with it. So that's my question. I would like him to throw more light on it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Over to you.
Okay. So these are the MFA method and security levels. So certificate-based authentication now most times is an authentication method that is used by developers to actually authenticate to some of the applications in a secured manner, in a secured way. So that one now is mainly used by enterprise or government environment, or maybe big environment like IT firms. It's a very secured authentication method, but most times it's application that uses it, not user identities. Is application identities, service principals that use certificate-based authentication. So most times they can store the certificate in Azure Key Vault. Then from Azure Key Vault, they will create the connections between the certificate and the application, so authentication can happen. So it is a very good secured way of authentication, certificate-based. But most times it is used by enterprise and government authentication. So for the software auth token, it's time-based codes for authentication app. Those codes that you get when you want to sign in, that they will tell you 74, type 74. Those are auth tokens that you get when you want to sign in like that. That is why they are called time-based codes from authentication app. Those codes you get, those are the codes that we're talking about here. So certificate-based is used in enterprise and government environments. It's majorly used by even some companies that they don't really use it, because it is one of the, it's let me not say difficult, but it is one of the highest authentication-based method that you can use to authenticate, because it's secured. Those of us that sign into, let's say, our Linux server, we are using SSH key, all those private key, all those using private key to sign in. It works similar to that, something like that. So I don't know if I explained it and if you understand.
I think I do, but I think maybe in course of time I'll get to know more about it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Emmanuel. So, Alfred, you can unmute your mic and speak. I have enabled you, so you can unmute your mic and speak. And while he's speaking, I think Udo should be ready. Yes, Alfred, are you there? All right, please, if Udo is ready, you can take the space. Your mic has been unblocked.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can hear you.
All right, Emmanuel, thank you so much for your presentation. So my question is, I saw when you went to enable temporary password when you were doing a reset password for, I think Emmanuel or who, the other guy you were trying to work in on his account. So when you went to reset password on your portal, I saw the temporary password that was created. I wanted to ask, the temporary password was about 7 digits, though alphanumeric and a whole lot of characters, but it was just few. So I want to ask, because I know there's the encounter I've had over the years, for my organization currently, if they send you a reset password, it's almost up to like 15 to 18 password, like characters. So I want to ask, is it that the admin configure that not lengthy characters, or is Microsoft, like, is the tenant that generate that number, or is there's a configuration you have to do somewhere that you have that lengthy number? Some they will start with maybe the months, then add some other alphanumeric and add the year and stuff like that. So is there any configuration somewhere on this platform that you can get that done?
Okay. So the one when I reset Itoje's password, so that was temporary password. That one was auto-generated by Microsoft. So let's check
Yeah.
from M365 Admin Center. So if you are using local Active Directory, if maybe your organization, they are using AD, So in AD, you can set the password that your users will use to, you can set the password for them. You can just give them the password, maybe like you are talking about now, the name of the company, the year, and this. You can give them a pre-password that they will use to sign in first. That one can be done on Active Directory. Let me check from M365 Admin Center, because I know when I'm trying to reset password for some users, I see where they will ask me, okay, you can provide a temporary password or you use the auto-generated password. So let me see, search for Itoje here. Let me select Itoje. So for Itoje now, automatically create password. If I say automatically create password, that means Microsoft will create the password for me. But if I uncheck this, I cannot type the password that I want. I can see, maybe since Itoje is in Precise Online, Precise Global, I can say Precise Pass. Test 0123. So I believe this is how your organization did it. If they are using M365, if they're using Microsoft, they can do it from here. If they are using their local Active Directory, they can actually they can do a preset password themselves. But most times, because it's a demonstration, I was just like, okay, let Microsoft just automatically create it. But you can actually do it. And there are other things you can even do. You can say, require this user to change their password when they first log in. If you check this, that means the user will actually change their password when they first sign in. So you can configure it actually. You can set the password that you want to give your users to, rather than using the default password generated by Microsoft.
By this, sorry, you means at every point that the user is request to change a password, like to reset the password, you can get this and send to the user after you reset from your end as the admin.
Yes. You can just
Okay.
send this password now to them and they'll use it. So maybe, for instance, your organization, you want to centralize password management for people that forgot their password. You can just
Yes.
say, okay, I'll reset your password. They already know the one they will use. They'll just use it, and so it works that way too.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Right, thank you very much. We can move to the next person, and we have just two people on the line now. Chiamaka can go. I'm going to block your mic now so you can unmute and speak. We have just two people on the line. After those people, please, we'll be calling it a night. So Chiamaka, if you're available, could you please unmute your mic and speak? And if she's not, then Florence can go ahead. If Chiamaka is not available, Florence can go ahead with our question. Hello, are we there? Then Fumi, then I will allow Mike for Fumi. Fumi, if you're available, you can come forward with your question. Hello, guys.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Oyimafu. I really enjoyed the class. This is for me. Okay, my question is, can the VPN activating impossible travel block status, can it be unblocked? Under conditional access logic.
Okay, let me go there. Let me go to conditional access. So we have VPN connectivity. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Okay. You know, there was a condition that can be activated for impossible travel block, and you get a blocking status because of that. But when you're using a VPN, there's a possibility of that happening. Or when you in midway you got to activate VPN and then you got a block status, can it be unblocked?
Okay. If I get, okay, let me reiterate your question. Let's say, for instance, now I configure a conditional access policy to enforce sign-in location, and maybe someone traveled to UK, and when the person gets to UK, the person now connects to VPN in UK, and automatically the person is in UK, but because of that VPN, it's connected to my Nigerian network.
Yeah.
So in that case, the person will be able to sign in because the person is using VPN, despite the fact that it's in UK. So are you trying to say that is there a way to configure conditional access policy that if somebody is not in that location, even if the person is using VPN, it should still block the person?
Okay, I'm saying that perhaps you started with UK, you started working in the UK, but midway you switched on your VPN, and then automatically the system sees that location has changed.
Okay.
Then you
I
get a
don't.
block status because of that.
Okay,
You're still in the
okay.
same location, but because the IP address changed while you were working, maybe you moved out of the tenant for a while, and then but the tenant at the background is still working, and you had to use VPN on something else. And then you coming back, the tenant already has picked your location changed while you were working on the system, and then you get a block status because of that. How do you get to unblock yourself, or can you unblock yourself?
Okay. So most times from the user perspective, they won't be able to unblock themselves. So all they just need to do is, because I've experienced something like this. So someone in my organization, so he has this issue. So we allowed some locations. So this guy is currently in our allowed location, but if he's trying to sign in, he will be blocked. He's not allowed to sign in. So when we check, we discover that the problem was from his ISP and the IP that they were giving to him. So most times in that case, what the admin can just do temporarily is to exclude the person from the policy for the meantime. Then once you exclude the person from the policy and the person fixes the issue from either the ISP or from the connectivity, then you can add the person back to test.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
At that instance, because that was how we were able to actually get through. Then when he fixed the issue with the ISP, then we're fine. Okay,
Okay.
hope
Thank you very
I
much.
was able to answer your question. Or you
Yes,
want to
you did.
still
Yes, you did. That means the admin has to be the one to resolve the issue on the customer's basis. It cannot be resolved through maybe authentication method. It has to be through the admin.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, Florence, I don't know if you're still available. But your hand is still raised.
Yeah.
And then we have Maka.
Thank you very much.
Are
Can
you
you hear
available?
me?
Right. Yes,
Yes, I'm
we can hear
available.
you. Sorry. Yes, Chiamaka said
Okay.
she can't enable her mic. You can just type the question in the chat and I will read it out. Florence, you can go on.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is, let's say when I reset my password, or maybe during and then I forget the security work, I want to reset my password, and the security question, I forgot it. What happens and what do I do?
Okay. So if you forget the security questions, so that is why in password reset, if I come to password reset here now, under authentication methods, so I can specify at least 2 methods. So what it means is that you must provide 2 methods. If you forget your security questions and you know your mobile phone number and you know the email or you have the authenticator app, you will still sign in despite the fact that you have forgotten your security questions. Then once you sign in, you can now go to the portal and update your security questions. So you'll still be able to sign in. The only way you will not be able to sign in is if maybe the only method I selected was security questions and authenticator app, meaning that if you don't know those security questions and if you don't know those security questions, even if you have your authentication app notification, you won't still be able to sign in. But if they made it flexible like this, you'll be able to sign in with other methods.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So somebody, Chiamaka has dropped about 3 questions. And the first being that, can you delete the user in the group after you initiate password reset for them? Will it affect anything? Second says that, can I create MFA for my bank apps even if the bank does not activate it? And the third says that, can I choose which apps I can initiate MFA on?
Okay.
Those are 3 questions from Chiamaka.
Okay. Okay, so the first question, can you delete the user in a group? What Chiamaka is trying to say is that this group now that I selected here for SSPR, now any member of this group is is automatically eligible to use self-service password reset, provided that they register. So if, for instance, now the user initiates self-service password reset, and I now remove after the person resets his password, I remove the person from this group. If next time the person forget the password and the person try, the person will not be able to, because the person has been removed from the group. So removing a user from the group remove the capability of self-service password reset for that user. That's just the number one question. So if you delete the user from the group after you initiate self-service password reset for them, it will affect them, because next time, if they want to reset their password, they won't be able to, because they are not members of the group. While the second question, can I create an MFA for my bank apps, even if the bank does not activate it? Most banks, like the ones I use, Zenith Bank, UBA Bank, and First Bank, most of them, they have like MFA configured. They will even tell you, activate the second level authentication. There was a time UBA Bank, I didn't do it. They were disturbing me. I should activate it. Like if I want to sign into the mobile app. So most of those apps, if you check it, they have second level of authentication. It may not be all these ones like that we get, that you use Microsoft Authenticator app. It could be maybe phone number. They could say add your email, add this, add that. Those could be their own second level of authentication. Remember, MFA means multi-factor authentication, meaning that aside password, any other method that you can provide to sign in, it could not be Authenticator app. It could be maybe a code sent to your email. It could be maybe a prompt on your app, any of your app, something like that. Can I choose which app I can initiate MFA? Yes, you can choose. You can choose the apps that you want to initiate MFA for. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we should round up with that, but then there's another question. I don't know if we still have time to take it. It says, what is legacy authentication?
Okay. Legacy authentication. Okay. So let's just look at, so legacy authentication is more or less like when you are signing in with basic authentication. So basic authentication is when you are using just username and password, but let's just check, let's check it. Let's look at it together, because I don't want to give an information from my own understanding. Let's just check Microsoft legacy authentication. So we can see different methods here. So, but if any other mentor wants to answer, you can go ahead to answer the question. So let me just check.
Okay, do we have a mentor in the house that can answer the question? Maybe Madam Titi can help us. Hello, Madam Titi. And I thought Joseph Afeso was here before. I don't know if he's still around.
Yeah.
If they can help us.
Okay, when we say legacy, so legacy is old. You want to block old method of authentication, so you can block it. So you can just use it to block it. Like Microsoft recommend that organization block authentication requests using legacy protocol that don't support multi-factor authentication. So the key thing that you need to note is legacy protocol, any sign-in that is using legacy authentication doesn't support multi-factor authentication. That means if any of your app is set up using legacy authentication methods, somebody can just sign in with username and password without using MFA, which is not good. So that is why Microsoft recommend modern authentication, because modern authentication supports MFA. So if we look at it here, so any authentication method that does not support MFA is using legacy protocol. So that's just it. So I don't know if Madam Titi wants to throw more light on it. Okay.
I don't think she's available.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you have been able to give a beginner level explanation for a beginner to actually understand. Going further might actually confuse a lot of the beginners in that. Just that password and the username, and then you cannot enforce MFA. It's as simple as that. It's an old authentication method It's just as simple as that. And there are many methods that are considered legacy as well. Thank you very much, Oyimafu. I want to see if we still have a question, but I think we can just round up right now. Yes, thank God. Adedapo said it's okay with your explanation. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Oyimafu, for taking this session. It's been really eye-opening. I want to believe that everyone learns a lot, because I really did learn a lot from this session. I want to thank every of our mentees who have taken their time out to be a part of this session. It's been wonderful having you around, and your engagement is actually encouraging. Thank you very much. Also, once again, I want to thank the leaders of the Microsoft 365 community for putting up all of these. This is huge. On a normal day, you would pay a lot for this kind of training elsewhere. So if you are getting this free of charge, this is a really big privilege for everyone. And it's nice to be here. Yes, I also want to give an update concerning the lab accounts. We're actually looking for a method where we would create the accounts and everybody will be managed within a group for centralized management. But we were trying to automate the process so that we won't so that nobody will be left out, and then we'll have all configurations put in place. That is why we have been having some kind of delays. But I want to assure you all that from tomorrow, we'll make the announcement for everyone to log in, and how you would log in with your username and password combinations. So thank you very much, everyone. From this end, I want to say, please have a wonderful week ahead. Bye. Good night.